Good morning, everybody. Ian Maddox, Hitchcock Maddox Financial Partners, connecting with you and beginning a new video series on the basics of estate planning. It's a cloudy day here in Trussville post-hurricane, and so local residents that are watching this video, hope you guys fared well. I know there's certain counties that are south of Birmingham that have had a lot of issues. I think schools still closed, power outages, etc. Never fun when we get severe weather like that, so hope everyone's safe and okay. Estate planning, this is a big deal. And before I jump into it, I want to mention something about last week's video. There is a certain event that will occur here in the United States that happens every 4 years. And apparently, certain words that I used in last week's video that really was more about financial planning and financial decisions, but referenced this event, was screened out by Facebook. And so what I want to communicate to you, you have no obligation to do this, but if you want to be sure to receive these videos, you can either go to our Facebook page and like it, or you can send us an email with your email address and I can add it to our distribution list, or you can go to our YouTube channel and subscribe there. Again, no obligation to do it, just telling you that I know there's folks that may watch this that didn't get it last week because of that. So we'll move on from that subject. Estate planning. And we're going to cover a lot of different things, but the basics kind of fall into a couple of categories. The one I want to talk about today, and to clarify, I'm not an attorney, but we deal with estate planning subjects on a regular basis, particularly with clients that are in later stages of life as they think through, hey, the next generation, etc. But estate planning really can begin even when you're young. And so there's different parts of this that tie into estate planning. But one of the basics we've probably all heard of is a will, power of attorney, and a healthcare directive. Let me tell you what each one of those does and why you should have them. First of all, the will is a document that directs what happens to estate assets after your passing. A will can direct a lot of different things, a lot of different activities. I won't get into all of them, but having one is important. If you don't have a will, what happens is that you will pass in what's called intestate. And so a court, a judge, has to determine what happens with your stuff, and that is a headache for family members already dealing with the loss of a loved one. It is much superior to have a will in place. They're not very expensive. You can even do some of them online, LegalZoom, things of that nature that are out there online. Of course, it is always nice to connect with a local attorney if you know one that can kind of put a little more personal touch on it for you. The next one is a power of attorney. Now, powers of attorney can come in various flavors as well, but the idea here is that you are authorizing another person or persons to act on your behalf in the same capacity that you would, okay? Those powers of attorney can be for matters that are financial, they can be matters that are legal, they can be matters that perhaps even health care. But anything that basically you want to defer or at least make them an equal legally with you, you could say, hey, that's kind of concerning to me. Sorry, background noise here. That could be concerning to me, but the reality is that if you don't have that in place, there are lots of situations where you can get in a sticky situation where you need someone. Maybe you're incapacitated. You've got something going on mentally or medically that makes it difficult for you to make a decision. Having someone authorized to do that, a lot of times spouses will reciprocate powers of attorney, and you'd say, well, wait a minute, that's my wife or that's my husband. Why do I need that? Well, there are certain assets that can only be owned under one Social Security number, individual ownership, and so in that case, having a power of attorney allows the other spouse to interact with that particular asset. So it can still be important in that case. The last one that I'll mention, and there's some other pieces to this, but a healthcare directive or living will, the idea here is that you've kind of laid out your wishes and who can be authorized and what should happen if you were to become gravely ill, gravely injured, may not survive. You can direct that ahead of time. Again, what you're doing here, folks, is that you are helping the folks that are having to deal with, the people that are dealing with this circumstance, navigate much more smoothly with healthcare providers, legal folks, etc. It just makes everything easier. And so in some ways, it's kind of a loving act for you to do, for your family to have all of these things in place. Is there some expense? There is, but it doesn't have to be that expensive. And if you think about, and I've watched this with client situations, client scenarios that did not have them in place, we always try to remind them, but obviously we can't handhold someone to the law office. I've seen how stressful it can be when some of these aren't in place. So We'll connect again very soon. Next subject, financial planning on the estate planning side of it, will be next week. We'll talk to you soon. Ian Maddox, HMFP.